Big Boar Barbecue presents Seven Rivers Racing on KQEG TV with Dan the Voice Dykman, Billy Doc Niles, and Paul the Statman Riker. Brought to you by Big Boar Barbecue, Highway 16 West Salem, in La Crosse on 3rd Street downtown and George and Gillette Street. Big Boar Barbecue, now that's a mouthful. By Carey Heating and Air Conditioning, your residential specialist, serving the La Crosse area since 1929. Carey Heating and Air Conditioning.
Welcome back, race fans. It's Seven Rivers Racing on KQEG TV, brought to you by Big Boar Barbecue. Show number 1 of the 10th season. Man, I tell you what, I would have never imagined 10 years ago having a conversation while I was announcing my very first Cranfest parade that Rick Wilson was on stage taping the parade to air back on KQEG TV. So, hey, Dan, would you have any interest in doing a racing TV show? But, okay. Here we are 10 years later. It's one of the most popular racing TV shows of its kind in the Midwest, and we greatly appreciate the returning sponsors and the sponsors we've garnered throughout the years for coming back. I also greatly appreciate Paul Reichert, who is right here supporting the Tomah Sparta Speedway. It's because he didn't get his TV shirt and he got this one to cover it up, but we're not telling anybody. And then Billy Doc Niles, racing extraordinaire, is on the end. Gentlemen, welcome back to the program.
Oh, it feels good to be back.
Man, after last week, man, I'm pumped up for racing.
Oh, yeah.
What an you could not have asked for a better starting weekend here in Wisconsin than what we saw at the Tomah Sparta Speedway and at the La Crosse Fairgrounds Speedway. And I had somebody ask me last week, do you think La Crosse had that many people because it was Buck Day? I seriously don't. It was a good mix to have in there. I seriously think people wanted racing.
Well, Buck Day was definitely an enticer, but, it was opening day. Minnesota has no racing, so most of their cars came down to race with ours. Most of their fans came down to watch with ours. A lot of them camped out on the fairgrounds. If you saw, there was about a third full of campers over the weekend. So people were itching because there's no movies. There's no live concerts. There's no ball games. There's nothing going on but racing right now. What an opportunity for racing to capitalize, not only in front of a great crowd, but wow, some great racing all the way around.
It was a great opportunity to see a lot of drivers that are only here during Oktoberfest, or maybe are only here during the fair, come down to kick off their season openers with us from all over the place. And from the way it looks in Illinois and Dane County and Minnesota, that could be the case for the rest of the summer. I mean, with everything that's been going on so far, T-Rex could walk down the middle of the road and wouldn't even faze me.
Yeah, Godzilla. That's the meme going on Facebook right now.
Everything
Godzilla.
that's happening right now, it wouldn't even faze me. So what we're going to do is, like we do in years past, we had some great interviews at the La Crosse Speedway banquet last year, and we're going to bring Chuck Deery in to really kind of talk about the racing season and recap last year, tell us about this year. He's also going to tell us a bit more about the new high school racing class that I know you've got an interest in.
Yeah, it should be interesting. I mean, the 15 to 19-year-olds, the ones we're trying to suck in to get involved in racing, this is their opportunity.
And it should be noted that this is pre-COVID here, so this was taped about a month and a half before things went haywire. So some things may have changed, but still, it's a great interview to watch.
Well, let's get things started as we normally do our video recap. First off, from the La Crosse Fairgrounds Speedway, and let's roll it right here. The last two of what was a very interesting end to a wreck-filled fest, I guess you could call it, for the La Crosse late models. Steve Carlson, by lap 5, and he had a good starting position, was the inside of row 5. By lap 5, he already captured the number 3 spot. He had already taken care of the likes of Jeremy Wagner, Cole Howland. Then he had to battle his son, Mike, through a couple of restarts. And through those restarts, you're going to see right here on the screen the number 12 make his appearance known, and that was Nick Mergic. About 3 to go. Steve going to the inside on these restarts, as the pole leader gets to do. He gets his first choice, pulls away from the field, and Steve Carlson takes the win to start things off here in 2020. But Nick Gady was caught up in a wreck. Nick Mergic, Chris Merrick. You're going to see some of these Minnesota guys back and better this coming weekend.
Gady definitely is not going to let last week stand. Mergic is definitely going to get his car better, and this is going to be a fun season with most of these guys from Minnesota coming down. Chad Wallen, another one. These guys are going to get their cars dialed in. It's going to be a fun middle and end of the season when these guys get their stuff dialed in.
Sport's been a little bit of a different flavor this year, Paul Reichert.
Yeah, it's actually they're using using the misfit rules down in Madison. But wow, what a finish! I think that was one of the best finishes ever at lacrosse.
Well, to me, the best sportsman finish was Jack Lichheim versus Troy Ray in John Nickelberg's car.
Yeah, years ago, but
15 laps side by side till they hit the line.
wow, what a shock! Lichheim involved in this one too. As you watch the last couple of laps. Lipsheim and Dave Edwards, the modified driver, he was the Misfits champion from Madison last year, coming down to try out similar rules, so he had nothing to lose here. And boy, did these guys put on a fantastic last 2 laps, side by side, banging right here to the finish line. They spin out across the finish line. If you watch real close, Lipsheim just ahead by a bumper is declared the winner. He'll get pulled into victory lane on the hook, but still, he gets to win for the first race under the new rules package.
And of course, Jack been watching his progress on Facebook. He didn't have to think he was going to pull his motor out this early in the year. Looks like he should be back again for this coming weekend's races. If you're new to the TV show, by the way, maybe watching it online on a Thursday night. This does air Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. So we don't really say tonight's racing because we're taping this.
If you're watching us Sunday night, there's a new race coming on just after us.
Knights of Thunder. Can't wait for that to hit there. Looking at the hobby stocks.
Yes.
We love first-timers.
Yes, great race by Brandon Gallagher. He led the whole way and actually claimed his first, I didn't realize this until you brought it up, Dan, his first ever win in the hobby stocks. That's pretty cool. I mean, he's been, the Sledgehammer's been really close a few times, but that was a pretty impressive showing.
That's going to be a very impressive class this year as well if you mix in some of the drivers that didn't make it or that are planning on coming out from different tracks. Chris Thunderberg, former Hornet champion, thought he was going to get another one. All of a sudden, no power. Jimmy Bjorkman cruises to the first win of the year. Minivans.
And then one of my favorites, man, the minivans here. You catch the last couple of laps here. John Hibner working his way through traffic.
But you're right. I had a chance before we went on to spend some time with Kelly Cunningham, and she said to me the first thing, I remember you, Terry. You were a referee.
The van that Robert Stansfield drove last year shows that it's losing nothing right here as it cruises to minivan cruise. I like how you say that. Cruises to his first minivan feature win. John Hibner, definitely a force to deal with in that class this year.
So surprised at the number of minivans they came out at. I think that was the biggest crowd of minivans we've had on night number 1.
And it's going to get bigger. Oh, I can't wait. I love that class.
Street stocks are going to be coming up here soon enough at lacrosse. Those numbers continue to grow there at the lacrosse and Tomah. And I can't wait to see what the vans do. So again, check out lacrossespeedway.com, at LAX Speedway on Twitter, and find them on Facebook. You'll be able to find the schedule for the rest of this year's races and street drags, which come up here pretty soon. When we come back, it's the Tomah Sparta Speedway, well represented right there. Video recap coming up next on KQEG TV.
You don't have to fly to Kansas City to get great barbecue.
Hear that? That's the sound of breakfast. Jerry here, and breakfast is back at Big Boar Barbecue. Come join us Monday through Friday, serving breakfast from 5:30 to 11. Pancakes, waffles, biscuits, and gravy. And yes, eggs too, any way you want them. Choose from 3 different hashes made fresh to order. Pulled pork, brisket, or boudin. Yes, sir, breakfast is back at Big Boar Barbecue, and it's a mouthful.
American Standard Heating and Air Conditioning is built to a higher standard, so you can focus on the problems in your life that really actually matter. Like figuring out which remote turns the TV on, or the smell in the vegetable crisper that in no way can be vegetables, or finding your phone when you leave it on vibrate. Whatever you're worrying about, it won't be this. American Standard Heating and Air Conditioning, built to a higher standard.
Welcome back, race fans. Severus Racing, KQEG TV, brought to you by Big Boar Barbecue. Now that the restaurants are getting back open again, guess what the first places I want to hit?
Well, you live in West Salem right now, so it's,
he's not far away from it.
you can get on that pretty pink scooter and it's gonna scooch away from your place.
Eric Byer, load up. And oh, by the way, look up Big Boar Barbecue on Facebook. 608 Piston Pounders have started their car shows already. They had one last Wednesday night. They haven't scrapped the big one in August yet at the fairgrounds. I can't wait to get out there. Other sponsors. It was 93 last week, and I even put it on my Facebook here. Billy Doc now is going to tell you, who cares what temperature it is?
You know, when your air conditioner isn't running right and it's 93 degrees, you call Carey Heating and Air Conditioning, get that tech out there, get that bad boy running right, because you're going to need it now. We're talking, 80s and low 90s right now for a few days. Better get that fixed now, or you're just going to be in sweltering heat. Fansarena.com. Paul, you can't do that.
Yeah, I know.
I'm doing it over here.
Hey, in a couple of weeks, we're going to have some brand new duds from them. Can't wait to check that out. J&L Collectibles, always great to work with them guys. And NorthstarCustoms.com. Awesome set of sponsors here. Make sure you check them out on their websites. And, visit Big Boy Barbecue. Awesome food.
Tomah Sparta Speedway, fantastic crowd, a huge car count. It was an outstanding night last Friday night. Let's take you out there now, courtesy of Rick Porter and NJ Productions. Here's the last two of our modified race. And Darren Salo, the Flying Finlander, he had the race lead in this one here, but he kind of lost that as Brad, the Wideman Wild, started coming for the back of the pack. He took care of Nick Quinnell, took care of Rick DeVito, and just when Quinnell was starting to challenge for second, Wilds pulled away, and he picks up the victory. And watch for those guys. Watch for Quinnell and Salo. And, Paul Brown won't be racing a lot this year because he's the new tech director
Yes,
at
he is.
Tomah Sparta Speedway. Sportsmen, wow, they ran to the back of the modifieds, and that was a battle.
They put on a show here. Rookie, actually a veteran, but a rookie to sportsman, Bill Schott, taking his shot at sportsman this year, challenging the seasoned veteran and Jason Backus. They would go back and forth on that one. Backus did all he could to try and get around Schott, but in the end, Schott holds on, claims his first ever sportsman feature victory.
First timer.
Yep,
We need to have a bell or some kind of a signifier because we like breaking news.
Wait a minute. Doesn't he get to ring the bell in Victory Lane?
Yeah.
Yeah, we need one of the show, though.
There we go.
Yeah, we do.
Maybe we'll steal Tomah's and bring it up.
Ding,
here
ding, ding. There we go.
Hobby stocks, man, oh man, there was a lot of new paint schemes, a lot of new numbers, a lot of new drivers, but the same name got it done again.
Yeah, it was ended up being the battle between Raymond Hardy and Andy Moore, just like it was all throughout last year. Moore actually got by. Actually, they both went on the slow car of Austin Stark. So Hardy got the lead back, but then Andy Moore came back a lap later to claim yet another win.
The daughter of Conrad Jorgensen, Thunderstock driver from the Elko Speedway, is also the king of the Pink Flamingo. His daughter, Julie, came out. And I tell you what, had Moore and Hardy wrecked, she would have won that race.
Yeah.
With Nick Oxborough, who won last year, in second.
She looked great out there. Wow.
She was questionable as we were qualifying, Billy Doc Niles, but I tell you what, I would like to see her race a lot more, especially the track like Tomah.
She's this adaptable to a track she's never been to before. She's got a heck of a future in front of her.
Jorgensen Brothers Racing getting it done across the river as they are from Minnesota. Over 20 Hornets were on hand, rookies of the year. We've had past feature winners. We've had past champions. A loaded field was out there. And, man, I tell you what, Taylor Dawson, who we think is going to get some wins this year, was putting some pressure on Elko driver Justin Shalitsky. But in the end, he got past Jazzy Meyer, got past Dakota Clausen, who brought a good car out. And, it's pretty much Justin Shalitsky. You know him as well as I do. He wins everywhere he goes, whether it's on dirt, asphalt, enduros. Yeah,
that's it. That's the thing about Justin, man. He goes anywhere where he can race that car, as you're seeing here, putting in Victory Lane here at Tomah. Had a pretty decent car for lacrosse the next night. Flat tire took him out, but everywhere he goes, he's someone to contend with when he shows up. The biggest division of race cars in the country are the six cylinders. We call them six shooters at the Tomah Sparta Speedway. And the best of the best were out. More going to be out as the weeks go on here at Tomah, but a newcomer in a flashy-looking 84 ride stole the show. Yes. Cheeto was leading quite a bit here, but making his way through the field was our visitor from McFarland, Steve Mueller from Madison. And he actually caught up to Cheeto and got around him with 2 laps to go in his first ever visit. Scored his first ever win. I think we've heard that before here at Tomah. Ding, ding, ding. And Dane County has got the clamps going on with the Madison International Speedway, and he went back and I was watching his Facebook telling some of their six-cylinder drivers how much fun he had up here. I think we're going to see a lot more of the six cylinders not only stopping off at the Tomah Sparta Speedway,
But if they can find a night, Billy Doc Niles, to bumper against La Crosse, stay the night someplace, or bring a camper up here, the six-shooter count could be probably close to 30 to 40.
You know, I happen to know a guy who's the general manager of a motel on La Crosse that could probably put them up. But yeah, that would be phenomenal. You see these guys pull a 2-day, you know, a Friday night in Tomah, a Saturday night at La Crosse, which is actually happening this weekend. And I believe, I don't know about next weekend, but it would be fun to see some of them guys travel around this area for a while.
I know that they made a faster schedule, bringing them back in 2021.
So I think they replaced them with the six-shooter, so they'll be running 2 weeks in a row.
Street stocks, 2 weeks in a row.
Yes.
And wonder if you guys from Madison came up to Tomah like for some big money race a couple years ago?
Oh man, if I could remember who that was. They ran 6 cylinders. They brought 4 of them up and won. And I haven't seen his Facebook in a while. But I wouldn't be surprised if he and some of his buds were back up here, because they, you know, obviously Tomah is a much different track than Madison is.
Okay, so you know, I can't get to Tomah obviously because my work schedule doesn't. You know, by the time I get done work and you guys are done qualifying, talk about some of the improvements they've made at that place, because everything I've seen is just phenomenal.
Well, the biggest thing. Everything's been repainted. The bathrooms have been redone. Concessions area redone.
New fencing.
There's brand new fencing in there. Now that they tore out a whole big section of the, I call it a U-shape of the grandstands from the track backwards. They got some grandstand, upper level grandstand seating from the Crosse Speedway. The entire scoreboard has been reworked. It's just outstanding. One of the cool things I do want to thank Greg Oliver for that I forgot to pick up last weekend. If you've never been or you've been to Tomah, you know that they've had the red benches forever. And if you look at the end of the benches, they've had a number on them. Well, when they were tearing out, and I knew what the history of these grandstands were, I told Greg Oliver, the promoter, save me a chunk of the wood and a piece of the red grandstand, and I might want to make sure that the numbers match up. And he says, okay. Well, the reason I wanted that is, being a big Badger fan, that seating at Tomah used to be some of the original seating at Camp Randall Stadium down in Madison.
Trivia right here on Seven Rivers Racing.
Remember that? Because Bill's going to get you later on this year, and we're going to give a prize away if somebody can remember what I just said right there. But I forgot to get it last weekend, but it's true. It goes back like 50, 60, 70 years to the original seating of Camp Randall Stadium.
Okay, we only got about 30 seconds left, so talk about the huge crowd you guys had Friday night.
It was phenomenal. That was one of the first times I've done an intermission with a bunch of Amelia Marshall. See, Amelia Marshall had a birthday last week. She mistakenly invited me to her birthday party. So instead of eating all the food, I stole all of her birthday presents and gave them away at the racetrack. 250 kids just alone sitting right down below where I was throwing stuff. Was just phenomenal to hear them screaming and their parents screaming in the background. And not only because we are the only sport on the universe that's running live, people needed to get out and watch racing. And now that Greg Oliver's ran Tomah for the past 3 years, I only see things getting better and better. And what a mecca right here in western Wisconsin to go racing on Fridays at Tomah and La Crosse on Saturdays.
It's phenomenal. So you can't be happier, you know, for Chuck and for Greg, because things are taking off so well at the beginning of the year, and sadly at the right time for us.
Well, when we come back, we're going to talk to Chuck Deery again. This was taped during our La Crosse Speedway Champions Banquet late last year during the wintertime. So it was, like Billy had said, pre-COVID-19 virus. And so there's going to be some scheduling things we talk about that we want you to ignore. But sit back and enjoy. Chuck Deery from the La Crosse Speedway coming up next on KQEG TV.
You don't have to fly to Kansas City to get great barbecue.
Hear that? That's the sound of breakfast. Jerry here, and breakfast is back at Big Boar Barbecue. Come join us Monday through Friday, serving breakfast from 5:30 to 11. Pancakes, waffles, biscuits, and gravy. And yes, eggs too, any way you want them. Choose from 3 different hashes made fresh to order: pulled pork, brisket, or boudin. Yes, sir, breakfast is back at Big Boar Barbecue, and it's a mouthful.
American Standard Heating and Air Conditioning is built to a higher standard, so you can focus on the problems in your life that really actually matter. Like figuring out which remote turns the TV on, or the smell in the vegetable crisper that in no way can be vegetables, or finding your phone when you leave it on vibrate. Whatever you're worrying about, it won't be this. American Standard Heating and Air Conditioning. Built to a higher standard.
Welcome back, race fans, to Big Boar Barbecue presents Seven Rivers Racing. During the annual awards banquet, we get to do some interviews with some of the people that are involved with the La Crosse Fairgrounds Speedway, and Dan caught up with Chuck Deery at this year's banquet. Here's what Chuck had to say.
We like to start the program off every year with a talk with the promoter and general manager of the La Crosse Fairgrounds Speedway, and that would be Chuck Deery. Chuck, how was your winter?
Well, it's been too short so far and stuff. Been doing a lot of planning and some other automotive racing stuff going on in the off season. So it's been busy, but it's nice to have a little free time on the weekends.
Let's kind of recap the 2019 season. Excitement, I think, is the biggest adjective I could think about. Points races across the board, new drivers across the board, the battle at the late model between Steve Carlson, Nick Panitsky, watching Panitsky and Jacob Gady go after the national championship, seeing what I saw was an influx of fans. I mean, just excitement across the board to me last year.
Well, I would throw the word frustrating in there for the teams as well with the very inclement weather we had early on part of the year. Then it got really hot, so. But you take that out of the equation and stuff, and what a great battle! What a great battle in all the divisions, and some exciting racing. And whenever you have such a competitive, so many competitive cars, especially in the late model ranks, watching that point battle switch back and forth throughout the season, what a true joy as a fan to see as it progressed throughout the season, and then fest finishing with our champions and stuff like that. So very excited about the level of competition as always that our teams put on every year, and I think 2020 will be just as good.
Not to take away from any other division, but I heard from so many people in the Midwest last year that it's such a luxury for us to have the numbers of late models we've had, not just last year, but to me the past 2 or 3 years, the influx of cars that are coming back. Some tracks we're seeing 8 and 9, and we were averaging right about maybe 21, 22.
Yeah, a little touch over that, but it's a cyclical thing. We may have some downtime, some down car counts as well, but I think with the not changing our rules every year and allowing some of the teams from outside of the La Crosse area to come in is certainly an advantage for us, and is a good formula, and we're going to stick with that formula for 2020.
Talk about frustrating. Again, Mother Nature bit us during Oktoberfest. I think this is just her annual thing. To me, I think this is the first year, or the first fest, where we canceled an entire racing program, jammed it into Sunday, and you obviously see things a lot different than I do. I thought it was pretty flawless the way we got everything in on Sunday, which turned out to be a beautiful day.
If I was a race fan, I was probably in race heaven on that Sunday and stuff. If I was the promoter running 2 shows on 1 ticket, your most expensive events, it's a little bit difficult. But the fans and the competitor made an effort to be there for that event, and we're obligated to get it in, and that was the best choice for us. And thank God it didn't rain on Sunday, and we knew it wasn't going to rain on Sunday, so it was an easy out for us. Financially it didn't work out, but you're going to have your ups and downs, and maybe one of these years we'll have a nice forecast and a nice 5 days, 6 days without crappy weather.
I think this year's Green La Crosse Speedway newsletter was the biggest one where people were constantly texting me, what is this, what is this, what is this? Some new things coming to the La Crosse Speedway this year.
Yeah, I think my theme for 2020 is going to be different. We need to do things different. The product that we have is awesome, but it just needs to be changed up, and whether it's new novelty events of what we've done with our sportsman division, with that new rules package we have there, and some novelty events. All our events in May will be afternoon shows instead of night. Just some different things, and try some other unique events. We're really trying to coordinate with other racetracks in the state to do some other things and kind of work together for some other promotions that way. And one thing that's going to come out will be the Wisconsin High School Racing Association, and through Greg McCarnes at Madison and probably Jefferson Speedway and some of the other tracks we're trying to get on board, have a simple street stock type of division, do a state champion, and have a track champion as well and stuff. We'll probably run them 4 or 5 times at the track in 2020. 15-year-old to senior in high school is the only ones eligible, and who knows how it's going to go over, but we talked about it. We thought there's a lot of kids out there that can get a car put together relatively inexpensive and go out and have some fun and introduce them to the sport. So that's going to be a new twist for this year for my new division of 2020, and so it's kind of a twist off our street stocks, but it should be fun.
Street drags again, coming back strong here in 2020. I love when people talk about the interest between street drags. You see the younger groups still coming out. I like hearing the competition talk that happens behind the wall when I announce a street drag. But it's been very successful, and I know Madison came up, Greg McCarnes, to see how you did it. They're having a successful program as well.
Yeah, without a doubt. And again, that difference is going to be our theme this year. We're changing up the brackets a little bit for 2020 for us and Madison. We are partners with Greg at Madison. We'll do events at Milwaukee, again, the Milwaukee Mile, and we're going to do a couple up at Road America. So we're expanding our street drag footprint in the state, and again, they're just fun events, and we're very happy to put those on.
LacrosseSpeedway.com, at Lacrosse Speedway on Twitter, and also look up Lacrosse Speedway on Facebook.
The class he's talking about sounds really exciting for the 2020 season.
Tomah Sparta Speedway, Madison International Speedway, and Crosse Speedway are the top 3 tracks. They're going to be trying this out this year, and we hope the numbers are just huge. Again, LacrosseSpeedway.com, at LAX Speedway on Twitter. Just find them on Facebook. Tomah Sparta Speedway.com. You can also find them on Facebook and find their schedules, and something we're going to start doing next week.
What are we
Drew
doing
Krymick and I, because of the social distancing, we've knocked out the pre-race interviews of past winners. So we're going to be going on Zoom on the Tomah Sparta Speedway Facebook page. And Drew and I, and if you've got time to do it, if Paul's got time to do it, we're going to be interviewing live the prior week's winners from the Tomah Sparta Speedway instead of doing it on Friday night. So that's going to be starting next week on Tuesday.
Awesome. Can't wait to see that.
For the man behind the curtain up there, that's Jesse, Billy Doc Niles, Paul the Penguin Reichard. I'm Radio Man Dan Dyke. I want to thank you very much for joining us to start off season number 10. Thank all of our fantastic sponsors really quick.
Hey, Big Boar Barbecue, Carey Heating and Air Conditioning, FansArena.com, JML Collectibles, and NorthstarCustoms.com.
We will be back next week with more 7 Rivers Racing.
You've been watching 7 Rivers Racing on KQEG TV with Dan the Voice Dyker, Billy Doc Niles, and Paul the Statman Reichert. Brought to you by Big Boar Barbecue, Highway 16 West Salem, in La Crosse on 3rd Street downtown and George and Gillette Street. Big Boar Barbecue, now that's a mouthful. By Carey Heating and Air Conditioning, your residential specialist, serving the La Crosse area since 1929. Carey Heating and Air Conditioning. Thanks for watching 7 Rivers Racing on KQEG TV.
You don't have to fly to Kansas City to get great barbecue.
Hear that? That's the sound of breakfast. Jerry here, and breakfast is back at Big Boar Barbecue. Come join us Monday through Friday, serving breakfast from 5:30 to 11. Pancakes, waffles, biscuits, and gravy. And yes, eggs too, any way you want them. Choose from 3 different hashes made fresh to order. Pulled pork, brisket, or boudin. Yes, sir, breakfast is back at Big Boar Barbecue, and it's a mouthful.